Good evening, everyone. Another Wednesday rolls around. Wednesday evening guided meditation at Chithurst Buddhist Monastery. Wednesday, the 30th of March. So this evening session for us marks the end of our 3-month annual winter retreat. Tomorrow morning we'll have a communal breakfast here in the monastery and a short closing ceremony. Express our gratitude to the lay support team that is so wonderfully supported us for these few months. Changing gears, changing mode from lots of quietude, simplicity, space, time, and we'll be changing gears into a more active mode. But the way I see it, meditation practice, spiritual practice, is about being able to develop the heart and mind that can readily and easily shift gears. Like a well-tuned, well-looked-after automobile. You have all these different gears, and if they're functioning correctly, then no gear is particularly better than the other. They just are useful for different times. And if they're functioning correctly, you can smoothly shift from one to the other and be at ease. So, none of us here in the monastery were born as monks and nuns, obviously. That's a given. And we would have developed, to some degree, a meditation practice in everyday life. Whatever we were doing before we got interested in coming to live in the monastery. And personally, I found that very helpful. My 10 years of developing meditation. And it was in central London on a very, very busy street right in front of Paddington Station. Very useful. Because I could develop meditation without precious surroundings. But that's my experience. I appreciated quietude. That's why I would go to the monastery 2-3 times a week. But we all have different situations. So some of us have come here this evening from nearby. Some people dialing in, joining in on YouTube. Other people live here. And we're all having a different situation. We all had a different day. All had a different week. But our practice can support whatever situation. And whatever situation we can use to support our practice. And especially once we get a bit more experienced. So before going into guided, quote-unquote, guided meditation, something I want to touch on this evening is around some of the things that do support our well-being that aren't necessarily labeled as, or usually labeled as meditation. And as I think we're all aware of something called mindfulness-based stress reduction is one one particular practice, which is, as far as I'm aware, is pretty much global, and I think it's wonderful that mindfulness is so widespread. And just looking at those last words, stress reduction, how we live our life, even if we never meditate, how we live our life can greatly reduce stress, almost instantaneously, in my opinion. So living a life for us in Buddhist practice, for the broader community, lay community, for instance, using the 5 precepts as a container, a beautiful container to guide us. So refraining from taking the life of living creatures, refraining from taking things that don't belong to us, i.e. also known as stealing, or borrowing things that we haven't been given permission, for us to refrain from being disloyal in our relationships, in particular around romantic relationships. How we use our speech, is it honest? Is it true? Is it gentle? And then the last one is around taking intoxicants and recreational substances that cloud the mind. And so using those as a framework to live our life, and it's something that we, if we choose to practice with those and do our best, that will greatly reduce stress. Don't even need to sit down on a cushion and meditate. I shouldn't say I can guarantee, because I can't say that in all honesty, but I pretty much guarantee that it will reduce our stress. If we haven't taken the life of living creatures, if we haven't stolen something or taken something, if we haven't been disloyal in our relationships, if we've used speech skillfully, and if we're clear in our mind, that right there will reduce a lot of stress and worry and conflict. I mean, fear. Think of all the things that drop away when we live in an open, clear, honest way. And this creates a wonderful foundation for spiritual practice and for meditation, so that when we sit down, or maybe we're doing walking or standing meditation, whatever meditation we're doing, what's going to be in our mind, or more importantly, what's not in our mind, if we reduced our level of fear and stress, worry, through living in a good way. And we will make mistakes, but having a framework, a container, can give us boundaries, so that when we do make a mistake, we're aware of it. Because without boundaries, we can sometimes go pretty far off the mark and not know it. We haven't hit those speed bumps. You know, I often liken the precepts to speed bumps. They let you know when you're going too fast. And so it's something that I haven't mentioned for a while, so I thought I'd bring that up this evening. And how we live. Also, just one last thing is around what we absorb into, or how we place our attention during the day and night. Because what we put into consciousness is what will echo and rumble around. It's like I liken it sometimes to a tunnel or a cave that has an echo. If you sing something beautiful into a tunnel, the echo coming back will be beautiful. I know some places, people, when they're driving through tunnels, they like to honk their horn really loudly just to get a big noise going. And so what we put into something, what rumbles around, echoes, reverberates. And so you just want to put a plug in for being attentive, to how we engage, what we're putting into our mind, how we associate with things and people, and what do we surround ourselves with, so that, and that doesn't mean that only beautiful things will enter our consciousness. No, I mean, it's also good to be aware of the difficulties that the world is experiencing, both near and far. So it's not just about, I'll use that word again I used earlier, that it's not about just being precious and creating a precious, rarefied situation, but to be attentive what we intentionally are picking up. And we learn from our experience. So let our own experience be our teacher. If we're getting wound up and stressed out in certain situations, I think, is there any adjustment that I can do in my life that will support my well-being? So this is where, yes, there is meditation. There is what I often refer to as formal meditation, sitting, standing, walking, lying down, very intentional. But all of these other things, and I've only listed a very few, really, it's all part of the package of spiritual development and well-being. So I think I've spoken quite a lot, and so we'll do a guided meditation now. And so, as always, begin by finding a posture that supports you the best, whether that's sitting in a chair, on a cushion, on a little bench. And if you're joining on the internet, maybe you're maybe sitting posture isn't possible for you now, standing or even lying down. But I suggest you take a couple of moments to establish a posture that is as we're seated, you're upright, not rigid, but we're upright. I like to use the image of lining up the ear canal, shoulder socket, hip socket. So they're all in a line. If you had a plumb line hanging beside the body, and we could see from the side that those 3 points would be in line. Now, we can't see that, but if we can imagine with our mind's eye, and then allow all the curves in the body in between those points to be. They're meant to be there, those curves. They're important. Excuse me. So we're neither leaning forward nor backwards nor side to side. And the reason for putting attention to this is that this posture will allow us to be very alert, but in a relaxed way. It promotes a relaxed alertness, and by using the least amount of muscular energy. The body is this amazing design. paying attention to it is very supportive. So once we've found our posture, relax. Gently, beginning at the top of the head, gently sweep our attention down our body, beginning at the very top of the head and sweeping through the head along the front, the face, relaxing the forehead muscles, cheeks and eyes, around the mouth, jaw, and the entire circumference of our neck. Just work your way down and relax as much as possible without the head dropping, using just enough energy to keep the head upright. Relax those long muscles in between the neck and the shoulder socket. So the shoulders are hanging, and the arms are hanging from the shoulder. The hands are relaxed, not gripping. Moving along the front of the torso, we relax, make sure we're not gripping our ribs or our abdomen, not gripping the back or the sides. Just enough energy to keep ourselves upright. Relaxed, yet alert. Now moving down to the hips, thighs, lower legs, feet. We're poised, alert, yet relaxed. Take a few moments to notice the pressure of our body sitting on whatever we're sitting on, whether it's chair, mat, cushion, stool, those parts of the body that are making contact. Just notice what that actually feels like. It's not to make a description of what it feels like, but just the actual experience. What pressure feels like. Now notice the temperature that we're experiencing. Is it cool, warm, or somewhere in between, just normal? Is there any difference between how we experience the temperature of our hands and the temperature that our face is experiencing? Just see if there's any difference. We say that we're sitting still, but are we really completely still? Take a look and see what parts of the body you can feel moving. Maybe you feel the body moving because of the breath, going in and out of the body. Maybe we feel, excuse me, the pulse that the heart is producing. Maybe our stomach, maybe we ate something not so long ago and the digestive tract is doing its thing. Now if we're not there already, let's move our attention to the breathing process. Wherever we feel it the easiest, the clearest. And we'll use that for these next minutes as our resting place for our attention. Gently rest our attention on that gentle rhythm of breathing. And when the mind wanders and gets pulled elsewhere, When we realize that, then we gently return to the body breathing again. It gives us a place to return to, no matter how many times we might get pulled away. So we'll carry on like this for some minutes. Maybe we're experiencing the echoes of our day. Our weak. This is natural. This is very, very normal. And as soon as we realize, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, we gently leave it aside and return to the experience of breathing. Going to add another layer to our meditation. If we notice, or when we notice, the mind engaging in some sort of mental activity, thinking, either a memory of something that's happened either recently or more distant, or even thinking about the present moment, or something that we either want to happen in the future or think might happen. Just notice the feeling tone around those thoughts. And just 3 different feeling tones I'm going to suggest is, one is it pleasant? Is it unpleasant? Or is it somewhere in that neutral zone of neither nor? These are the three ways that the Buddha referred to feeling: pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. Emotion is something he referred to, but in a different way. And once you notice that, so let's say some thoughts about what happened earlier in the day come up, very pleasant exchange you had, experience you had, something we had happen to us, and we can just simply notice, oh, that's pleasant, and gently then return to the experience of breathing. And the same if it's something unpleasant or challenging, and the same if it's neutral. It's just noticing it and not making a story about why it's pleasant or going into some sort of description, mental description, but just simply noticing the feeling tone and then leave it be, return to the breath. This is training ourselves to be aware of our inner experience, clear about our perceptions, as clear as possible, noticing that feeling tone in a safe environment, and hopefully everybody at home listening or watching this, I hope you're equally as safe as we are here in the monastery. So we're exploring experience and training ourselves to recognize, experience, to be able to experience this range of feeling tones and be able to be at ease with all of them. To be able to be at ease when things are unpleasant. And to be at ease when things are pleasant. And by what I mean being at ease with the pleasant is not feeling that we have to grab the pleasant, keep it beyond its lifespan, recreate it, enhance it. We can just be at ease with pleasant feeling. Be at ease with neutral feeling, not feel that we have to make it special or make it better. Don't need to add spice to those neutral experiences. We could be at ease with being bored. The dull moments in our life. And practicing like this, it's safe, and it prepares us for those times in life when things are maybe not so controlled as they are right now in our guided meditation on Wednesday night. When things go wobbly, when things are supercharged, exciting, when the unpleasant arrives, we've trained. We know what feeling is, and we know how to allow feelings to arise and cease and linger, and we can be okay. We can endure without gritting our teeth, without clenching, but we can remain whole and balanced even when everything's gone wobbly. Our overall balance remains intact. And so we practice like this. It's a gradual path, it's a gradual practice. So by simultaneously being circumspect how we live our lives, where we place our attention, what activities we take place in, we take part in, and also by learning to experience what does come our way with balance, with mindfulness, with ease, making room for experiences to pass through the heart and mind. We can develop ease and well-being with whatever comes our way. Stress reduction. And if stress is there, we're mindful of it. We notice it, and we give it space. It will change.